Hello and welcome to Meeples on Tour. We've recently come back from Disney World, Florida. I wanted to do a little recap of sort of what it takes to get there, um, what's involved in the organization of it, and also some tips and tricks for surviving Disney. So, this was a trip with extended families. So, we went with a few other people, and so there are lots of schedules and sort of desires to coordinate. We also had different people in the party, so people who love roller coasters, people who don't love any thrill rides, younger family members, older family members, so lots of things to consider. So first of all, the flight across the Atlantic from the UK was absolutely fine. It was shorter than the South American flight we took a bit earlier on, and so it was perfectly manageable. The kids did well, lots of in-flight entertainment. Um, Once you decide to go to Disney, you do need to be very organized if you are going to get out of it what you want to get out of it. Because certain things, like, for example, the character dinners and certain experiences, they sell out really quickly. And so you really need to be making a plan for what you want to do uh, quite a few months ahead. Some of the dinners, they go on sale like a few weeks before, but you just need to get the timescales in your head and perhaps make a little note in your calendar of when you need to log in to sort it out. We went with, in terms of food, we went what's called a meal plan, which is where you get a certain number of meal credits. Now, it doesn't actually save you any money. You can pay the same amount when you're there and just pay every time. But if you have the meal credits, it's sort of supposed to make it a bit easier that you just pay a credit. In actual fact, it probably doesn't, because you still have to put in your scan your resort card, and you still have to put in the card PIN every time you check out a meal credit. So I'm not sure there's any advantage to it. The other thing we found is that with the meal credits, they're quite restrictive. So we were at the Art of Animation Resort, but it's the same deal with pretty much any resort that's linked to Disney. In that, for example, the breakfast, it's not a buffet; it's a set meal that you get, and you get pretty much a choice from about sort of, I don't know, 5 things or so. And there's no flexibility. There's also a kids meal, which is for kids below the age of 10, and there's also very little flexibility. So, for example, if you didn't fancy kind of a fried breakfast, there's nothing for you. There's literally nothing for you. It's pretty much or pancakes, fried breakfast or pancakes. That's your choice. So if you wanted, I don't know, porridge or fruit or just anything else, that's all extra and not included. And also things like a snack. There was a bag of cut up apples, so you can have that as your snack, but you can't have the orange, which is like right there next to the apples. That's an extra. So it was a very weird food setup that wasn't very popular, I have to say, amongst the party. And that was probably one of the few negatives. So think a little bit about the food you're going to need, where you're going to eat. The credits cover the parks as well as the hotels, so you can use them in the outlets in the parks. But again, it's a little bit restrictive in what you can get. And of course, it is quite expensive. Now, in terms of the sort of the organization of the experiences. So the character dinners, they were all very good that we went to. We had a dinner booked every night. 3 of them were character dinners, so that's where people appear and and say hi, and Goofy and Minnie, etc. So that was really nice for the kids; they enjoyed it, and it's nice for the adults too. But just make a decision about where you need to go, and keep an eye on the booking times for them. We also had the pass to get your pictures, because there's lots and lots of photographers all over the park, and it's called Memory Maker, and they can take pictures of you throughout your stay, anywhere you like. You just come up to them and ask to take a picture, and they do lots of posed pictures, and they also do a bit of AI with it, where they add in characters to your photo if they're not there. And then you get them all to download. So that's definitely good, because the pictures are high quality. They're good cameras and they're good staging. They've got the best spots in the parks to take pictures of you. So that was worth it, and that was lovely. We didn't have lightning passes, which is probably recommended if you can spare the cash, because the queues did get very long. We took a couple of days to also go to Universal Studios and Epic Universe, which is the new Universe Park, and they were also good. But yeah, the queues across the parks got very long at peak times. If you don't make that golden first half hour, you're waiting a long time if you're queuing for the popular rides. It was also very hot, so you have to allow for that. Carry lots of water. There are refill fountains throughout the parks, but lots of water, and shade breaks and lots of sunscreen. We did get lightning passes. Now, the rides broke down. In Disney, it wasn't that common, but it happened regularly enough to be slightly irritating, where you'd be planning to go to a particular ride, you walk all the way over to that park, to that side of the park, and it's shut, and then it opens back up for half an hour and then it shuts again. So that's quite frustrating. There's very little you can do about it because obviously they're quite big into their safety, which is good, but it's frustrating if you're on the receiving end of it. In Universal, it was really bad because there were about 5 rides broken all at the same time, including, for example, in Mario World, 2 of their biggest rides were broken at the same time. And we went and raised that as an issue with them. We said, we're here for one day and there's not anything we can do. And they do give you lightning passes. So one of the rides opened up later, and so we got into it on a lightning pass, which still involves a wait, but it involved a wait because I guess everybody got the lightning passes after the ride breakdown. But we probably waited 15-20 minutes instead of 200 minutes, as was the official normal queue time. So it's worth seeing what you can get out of the customer services if there are issues in the park. What are the organizational things? Travel between the parks. So the buses work well. The Skyliner works well, which is a gondola system between the parks. That was fine. But some parks are quite difficult to access from certain resorts. And certainly if it is very rainy or stormy, they shut down the Skyline, the gondola line. And that happened to us. And in that case, you might want to consider getting an Uber. If you don't have the app, do install it beforehand, because the Ubers are everywhere and they take minutes, if not seconds, to arrive. So it's very, very easy. They're all used to it. So getting an Uber as a backup transport measure works well. But do have it set up before you go, so you're not faffing with the app when you're there. What else to say? So in terms of the accommodation, we were looking specifically for family rooms, and they don't really exist in sort of our understanding of it, in that every single room only has double beds. There's not an option for single beds or bunk beds for kids in the resorts we were looking at. And so we went for Art of Animation in one sense because they have the option of family suites, which was like a mini kitchen. It's very minimal. They had a kettle and a microwave and a sink. But they also have a separate bedroom with a double bed, and then the living area in the suite had a sofa, which was a sofa bed, and it was a decent sofa bed actually. And then it also had a fold down double bed. So our kids each had a double bed, which was overkill, but it was better than them sharing a double, which is a massive problem knowing our 2 kids, because the blanket wars and all the rest of it is just not worth it. So just to research accommodation, there's different options, and there might be different suitabilities for families. The pools were excellent. So yeah, kids love the pools. It's very nice for us to sit on the side of the pool, and the kids can play. Lots of lifeguards on duty, lots of attractive play features in the pools. The only pain was the pools only opened at 10 o'clock in the morning. So if you do have young kids who get up early, there's not very much to do if you're planning a pool day or a pool morning. So perhaps a pool afternoon is more sensible. Lots of entertainment at the hotels as well. Lots of sort of marshmallow roasting in the evening and movie nights on the lawn and various things like that. A video of mine would never be without board game chat. as you can see, there's enough of them here. We took a small selection with us, and actually we played probably half of them when we were there, because there was just not very much time. We spent all the days at the parks, in the evening we were all shattered. But some games did get a look at, because we wouldn't be without them. So we took Skull, which is a easy cooperative sort of bluffing, sort of trick taking, not quite trick taking, no, bluffing game, which works well for non-gamers. We were going with people, not all of whom play. So that one's useful for mixed groups like that for the evening, and it's very light and easy to learn. We also took Family Scroll. We have Standard Scroll as well, but this one works well with younger children because it's a drawing. It's sort of like a broken telephone game with drawing and writing and clues. But the family version doesn't have any kind of dodgy clues or inappropriate cards in it, so you don't have to trawl through it and select those out. So that was very popular and lots of laughs. We also took Bombusters, which, to be fair, we only played with my husband because everybody else had crashed out for the night, but we played maybe 2 or 3 games of it because it's one of our current favorites. Very quick games, very accessible, but still very engaging. So we're loving that at the moment. So that was our main games action at Disney, and we had some others with us, but they didn't get a look in because we were so busy. So if you are going, don't take many games. You're not going to get time because you're going to be busy enjoying Disney and the atmosphere of it. And I hope you have fun if you do go.